What's up, y'all? Welcome to Code Unlocked, the show where I try to help you find the code to unlock your life. I'm your host, Code, and today I want to talk to you guys about smart training. Train with brain, as I titled it. We're just going to get right into it, just a solo show today. But before we get right into it, please leave me a 5-star review in the podcast app, wherever you're listening to this. I appreciate that. It really goes a long way, helps us grow this organically. And if you can't do that, or if maybe you've already done that, tell a friend. If you got any value out of this and your friends are asking you what you've been listening to and whatever it may be, and you'd like to, kind of give them some wisdom or help them out, it'd be cool if you could share the show. So I'd appreciate that. And some of you guys have been doing that, so thank you so much. We have a good community growing, and I'm excited to see where we can take this thing. But on to the show. So train with brain means you have a plan, right? So this is primarily a fitness and health type of show where I try to give you tips and tricks to progress your fitness or your health journey or start it. Maybe you've never even done anything before and we want to get that going. But I want to try to get you guys progressed and take you through my journey, which we've done that before, gone through my story, and help you guys get better. So it means you have a plan when you walk into the gym or you're going for a training session, right? You don't just walk in and you do a bunch of random stuff. You have a purpose, you have a focus, there's a strategy behind what your training session is going to be, right? If I wanted to increase my squatting strength, I'm not going to walk into the gym and start doing curls or start doing pull-ups. That might be something that I want to do the next day, or that's going to follow the program if I'm doing like all-encompassing CrossFit or general GPP or whatever it may be, right? But if I strictly want to increase my squat strength, I'm going to have a plan. I'm going to squat 2-3 days a week, maybe more than that, maybe less than that. It just depends on the volume, where I'm at, what my training ability is at, what my skill level is, how strong I already am. But I'm going to have a plan. I'm going to walk into the gym and I know, okay, I'm going to do my 5x5 back squat. I'm going to do my 4x5 front squat. I'm going to do 70% my first set, work up to 80%. And then my front squats, I'm going to go a little bit heavier and I'm going to start at 80% and finish at 90%. Whatever it may be, these kind of arbitrary numbers, but there's a plan behind them. And I have a reason for why I'm going to be doing these percentages and these reps. And then on Wednesday, I'm going to go back in. I'm going to do another 5x5, but I'm going to increase the weight. Or maybe I'm going to do a 5x3 and increase the weight. Or I'm going to do it 8x8 and decrease the weight because the volume, right? There's just going to be these not random rep schemes and weights, but they're going to be a plan, and I'm going to have a reason for it. Okay, so you're not just doing random stuff. There's a reason why you're there and a focus. And that focus is going to be different for everybody, right? If you don't want to increase your squat strength, you want to get better at handstand walking, where you're going to practice handstand walking once or twice a week. You're not going to get better at anything unless you do these take the necessary steps to get you on those movements. Squat strength has no relevance to your handstand walking ability. So you're not going to squat to get better at handstand walking. Obviously, that goes without saying. But you're going to have a plan, right? You're going to train what's is going to get you closer to your goals, and you're going to follow a plan that makes sense to get there. Now, what does that plan involve? Well, it depends. If you're following, this kind of goes with my last topic, but are you following a program? Do you even know what a program is? Do you have a coach to tell you what to do? Do you have someone you can ask? Maybe it's not a coach. Maybe it's a training partner. Side note, everybody needs a training partner. I think they are very vital, very important. Find yourself a training partner if you don't have one, because it makes training so much better, so much easier, so much more fun. And maybe a training community. If you have 5 people that can do it, even better. But if you can find yourself a training partner, I know not everybody has the ability to. Some people not everyone has the same schedule, right? You can only train for a certain hour of the day or a certain time of the day. But if you can find a training partner, do so. But going back, do you have a program? Do you have a coach to tell you what to do? Do you have something to follow, some outlines? Do you have someone that you can reach out to as a mentor and be like, hey, you might not be my coach specifically, but how could I get better at handstand walking again? And they can give you some tips, or maybe they can write you a plan, or maybe they'll just reach out and help you out. Try to have an idea for why you're doing the things you're doing. I think a really easy way to get there is to ask yourself, when you're in the gym, or why you're going to the gym, when you're going to the gym, why am I doing what I'm going to do today? And if you can't answer that question without just like, oh, because it's fun, which is fine. We should be having fun, and I'll get into that in a sec. But if you can't answer that with a purpose and like, oh, well, I am going to be working on my chest to bar pull-ups today because my chest to bar pull-up volume isn't very good, and in the middle of a workout, I can maybe do one set of 10, and then from there, I'm down to 2s and 3s. Makes sense why you'd want to be working on them. Perfect. But if you can't answer that with a reason, then you probably shouldn't be working on that thing. Now, going back to what I said a little bit ago, which is, you want to do the things that are fun, by all means. At the end of the day, we are all training to have fun, right? We don't do these crazy ass hard metcons, put ourselves through hell because we're not having fun or we don't enjoy it. Yeah, sometimes it's not fun in the middle of it. Sometimes we're like, why the fuck am I here? What am I doing? This is miserable. You're in the pain cave. I have those thoughts. I think we all do. But at the end of the day, we have fun doing it. Every day might not be fun, but we have fun, and that's why we train. So it is okay to go to the gym, and even if you don't have a plan, you can be doing those things because it's fun and you enjoy them, but try not to be doing that every single day you go. If the only thing you work on are your strengths, well, you're never going to get better at your weaknesses. And CrossFit, talk about it all the time. Welcome to CrossFit where you'll never be good enough. A quote I use all the time. Said that on the show before, and it's so true. Once you start working on something, you're going to lack in a different area or multiple areas, and that's CrossFit. And that's what makes it so fun, is that strive for excellence every single day to get better. The strive to work on your handstand push-ups, and then you start working on your handstand push-ups and you meet your goal of doing your unbroken set or whatever it was. And then, well, because you worked on that for 2 weeks, well, now you need to go back to running. And then because you start running again, now you need to work on strength training and your snatch. So it is okay to have fun, or you should have fun while you're training, and it is okay to do the things sometimes just because they're fun. But if you're doing it always just to have fun, well, you're never going to get better at the weaknesses, and you're just always going to be stuck in this rut of, well, I'm good at handstand push-ups. It's like, okay, well, can you handstand walk? No, I don't really work on it because I'm not good at it. It's like this cycle. I see it all the time. People don't work on something because they're not good at it, because it fucking sucks. It's discouraging when you're not good at something, and it's hard to take a step back and be like, all right, I'm a beginner at this move, right? You have to have this mindset. This is my day one, again, of working on handstand walking or handstand push-ups. And it sucks to work backwards when you're so good at one thing that you don't want to work on it, because it's discouraging to not be able to do something, especially when you're good at the other stuff. But you just have to. It's the only way. Double unders is a perfect example. All it takes is 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes a day at the end of the class, as a warm-up, whatever it is, just to work on it, to get better at them, to understand the mechanics, to be more efficient, to actually learn them. And people skip them all the time, and then the open rolls around. Every freaking year they pop up, and then there's people scrambling to do double unders the day before. How do I learn double unders? How do I learn double unders? It's 12 hours before 20x point X comes out, 23.1, 23.2, 25.4, whatever workout it has double unders them in the open. It's the day before. It's the hour before. It's 5 minutes before. Cody, how do I do double unders? Coach, how do I do double unders? It's like, well, you're going to jump and you're going to spin the rope twice and hope it goes under your feet, and hopefully you can keep on doing that, really. But really, you just say, well, have you been working on it for the last 6 months that I've been telling you to? Every time it pops up in class, have you been working on double unders? They're like, no. Well, okay, well, you got no one to blame but yourself. Look in the mirror. Perfect example, right? You just only worked on things that you're good at or that are fun. That's what's going to happen. A weakness is going to expose itself, and it's going to be more painful when it does, rather than the pain you would have went through of just working on it for the 5 minutes every day or whatever it may be, working on that weakness. So have a plan when you go into the gym. Don't just do things that are fun. It's okay to do things that are fun sometimes, but work on your weaknesses. Do things that aren't fun, and you'll get better. Moving on to the next topic, we have injuries. Okay, I want to talk to you guys about injuries and working through injuries, and what that means. Injuries happen, guys. Like, it's okay. Injuries happen. They suck. They're not fun. I tweaked my back deadlifting yesterday a little bit. I'm okay. I'll be fine tomorrow. Like, it's just a little tender. I've actually had this happen to me before. I think it goes back to last year. I was snatching, and I dropped a barbell directly on my back. Like, I caught the snatch in the bottom of a squat, and like my arm like wasn't locking out strong enough, and it gave. My elbow gave, and the barbell just like came crashing. And I tried to bail, and I didn't bail fast enough. So I bailed forward, and the barbell was too close. Landed on my lower back, and it hurt. Like I went down to the ground. Lindsay was like, "Oh my God, are you okay?" Like it probably looked fucked up. I wish I could have seen it. And I was like, "Oh, I'm okay." But like I laid there, and I was like, "Fuck, this hurts." So like I like struggled to get up. I laid there for a second, then I got up, and I was like, "Oh, this is pretty bad." Like I couldn't walk, I couldn't bend over. Um, anywho, I think it goes back to that. Like I was fine. There was nothing broken or anything. It was just like super tender lower back, super sore. It may have knocked a rib out or something, but I think that's kind of the start of it. And then I deadlifted heavy a couple months after that, and I sort of tweaked it. Then I think my hip shifted, and I think the same thing just happened yesterday. I was deadlifting light, just some tempo work, and I think my hip shifted. So that's kind of why I got this. How I thought of this topic was training through injuries. They happen. I haven't had anything crazy happen to me. Knock on wood. I know some people have, and it sucks, but they happen to everybody. At some point, you're going to get injured. Might be drastic, might not be drastic, might be just this little tweak thing, might be something minor, major. They happen to everybody, right? They happen to games athletes. They happen to just anything. That's just part of life. You don't even have to be training to get hurt. You fucking stub your toe and break your foot going down the stairs or something. Injuries happen. And I know they suck and they are discouraging, but you have to try not to get discouraged and try not to get down on yourself. Okay. That's step number one, or that's key number one. And then moving on from that is, what does your injury consist of, right? Like, do you have a broken leg? Okay, well, you're not going to be doing double unders on your broken leg. Um, but if it's something that you can keep moving through, like, the next day, maybe you take a day off, you take a day, couple days off, take a week off or something. But if you can come back to the gym and work around it or work through it slowly, less intensity, less volume, that's what you should be doing, right? So like today, my back was tender from yesterday. I hopped on the bike, did 40 minutes of zone 2 on the bike erg while Lindsay was training. We were just kind of hanging out, and I'm just keeping the movement going, keeping the blood flow going. And that's something that you should generally do if you can, if you're able to, right? Now, if you can't, by all means, take the time off. But people will always get injured, right? Let's say they hurt their back, and then they skip the gym for 3 months when they could be at the gym, and they could be hitting arms or chest, or they could just be hitting some bodybuilding stuff, or maybe they could be hopping on the bike and just moving, and they stop moving for 3 months, and then they lose all of their fitness, they lose their engine, they lose whatever. They show up because they were injured, understandably, right? Like you're hurt, but could you have probably showed up to the gym? Yeah. I mean, did you have a broken back and you need to be in bed? Sure, then don't come to the gym. But that doesn't happen often, right? So try to keep on moving through and work around these injuries. And this is where a coach comes in. Ask them for help, right? Your coach is never going to guide you in the wrong direction and say, "Oh yeah, you broke your leg. Well, we're doing box jumps and double unders today, so I want you here at the gym, and we're just gonna see what happens. If you break your other leg, well, fuck it." That's never gonna happen. The coach is gonna say, "Okay, yeah, come to the gym, show up for class." Even if we have to completely change the workout, see that all the time. People will get hurt, and they feel like they can't show up for class anymore because the workout is something they totally can't do. I just want you in the gym. Show up. If we're doing box jumps, double unders, and squat cleans, and you can't jump and you can't squat, doesn't mean I don't want you there. I'm going to put you on a bike and you're just going to cruise. Or maybe we're going to work on some bench press or some upper body. Like, we can change the workout completely. You don't have to do anything close to the whiteboard if you're not able to. Show up to the gym, keep moving, keep that consistency going, right? Keep your routine of going to the gym every day. That way, when you're back and you're healthy, it's not hard to get back to the gym because you've already been going. And you're going to feel so much better because you worked through it and you were already at the gym, okay? So don't stop moving unless your injury requires it. If it's super drastic, by all means, be smart about it. I think we all know that if you're too hurt, then you don't have to show up. But a lot of times, you just need to not be a baby and show up anyway. So go lighter, less volume, less impact. Just keep moving if you can. Your body will thank you for it. The blood flow will keep you healthy, and it'll generally help you heal faster too. You keep moving, right? A lot of times we get injured, like with my back, it just like tightened up, got locked up, And if I just like laid in bed, it would just continuously get tighter and tighter. And then when I get out of bed or something, like I can't touch my toes, I can't bend over because I didn't keep moving, right? So injuries happen. It's okay. You just work through them. Okay. Moving on from there, burnout. What is burnout? Burnout is when you're overtraining, right? And that's like a double meaning. You're overtraining in one word, or you're over space training. Like you're over it. You're just like, fuck this. This isn't fun anymore. I think that is the biggest factor for knowing when you're having burnout, experiencing burnout, or close to it, is when you show up to the gym, or you're gonna go to the gym and you're just like, man, I do not want to go. This is just doesn't sound fun. I'm dreading it. Nothing, CrossFit doesn't sound fun, or whatever training program you're following. It doesn't sound enjoyable. It sounds miserable. You're not looking forward to it. If that's the case, if you're starting to notice these, you're probably experiencing burnout, and it happens, right? It means you're overtraining. You're training too hard, too much volume. You just need to take some time off. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Okay, it's kind of like an injury. You can train through it if you're close enough, or if you're not close enough to burnout, maybe you can sort of train through it. But maybe that doesn't apply to you. Maybe you've been training for 6 months up to a bunch of competitions, and it's just like, man, I need to take some time off. And time doesn't mean you take 3 months off. It means you take a week off, and then you get back to it and you ease back into it. Or maybe it means, everyone's different, right? Maybe it means you take 2 days off and then you get back into it and ease into it. Maybe it means you don't take any time off, but you just lower the volume. You show up to the gym, you hop on the bike for 30 minutes, and then you're in and out in 30 minutes. Or you show up, you do mobility for 30 minutes, you're in and out. It depends on where you are, who you are, what your fitness level is, how burnt out you are, what stage it is. There's so many different like factors. But I think the easiest way to find this burnout is if you're not having fun while you're training. At the end of the day, what we're doing is to have fun with our friends. Especially, like, this is for mostly anybody who does CrossFit, which is generally the majority of you guys listening. You guys out there just listening. We do CrossFit, right? And we do CrossFit for fitness, for health, but generally, overall, fun comes with that. To be with our friends, maybe because we're competitive, but we're having a good time doing it. If we weren't having fun, then what's the point, right? Like, we can get health and fitness from other means. CrossFit isn't the end all be all of fitness. I think it's the best training method, of course, I'll always say that. But you can just be a runner and you can be super healthy and fit. You can be a mountain biker and super healthy and fit. You can be a bodybuilder and be super healthy and fit. CrossFit doesn't have to be your primary source of fitness just to be healthy and fit. That comes with it, but also having fun with our friends and an enjoyable community and working hard. And so I think all those other things are kind of like a byproduct of it, or maybe they're equally as important, but fun is just like, it's so important to me. And if you're not having fun, then we probably shouldn't be training like we're doing, right? So you take a day off, you take a week off, you dial back the intensity. Maybe you deload until the itch and fun comes back. Deload meaning you just go in and no heavy weight, right? Like, you still hit metcons, you still do workouts, maybe you still do strength training, but you only do lower percentages. You keep your heart rate nice and at like a zone 2 or a conversation pace, but maybe you're still working through burpees, but you're just going slow. You don't even set the clock for time, like you're not even tracking how fast your workouts are taking, or you do set the clock, but you don't actually care about the time. You just work and you get time capped for a week, right? There's so many different ways to deload or take the intensity off to avoid burnout. And then how do you know when you start back up? Well, when you look forward to training again, when it sounds fun to go in and do burpees. I know that might sound like a foreign concept to people. Like, yeah, I will never equivalate burpees and fun, but I do. And I don't mean that like, oh my God, I'm having so much fun doing burpees. This is like the best day ever. But like, when you're training, you're like, yeah, I'm having a good time. That's what I mean by fun. I know I tell people that all the time. Like, good job, guys. That was 15 minutes of fun at the end of the class when I'm talking, like at the end of the workout. And they're like, that was fun. I was like, well, I mean, it depends on your definition of fun. Like, were you at Disneyland or something? No, but you probably had a good time doing it. So yeah, it was fun. So when that itch comes back, when you look forward to going to the gym again, when you look forward to doing burpees again, when you're like, oh yeah, that looks like a fun workout. Like, oh, that's my shit. Then you know your burnout is past and it's time to hit it hard again. And that doesn't mean you have to go full send that day. Ease back into it unless you're ready for it. There's so many different levels of this, but just know when you're ready to have fun again, or when it sounds fun again, then it's okay to go back hard. Okay. And lastly, this kind of ties all the topics together, and that's following a program that makes sense to you. I touched on it a little bit with at the beginning with training with brain, right? You have a plan, you follow a program, you hire a coach. Best advice I can give to people is find a coach or find a friend, right? This kind of is like finding a training partner, find a mentor, find someone that can guide you or help you where you guys can work back from and bounce things off each other. Um, this is where coaches come in. This is why coaches exist, because we have the training, we have the skills, the insight to guide people. And coaches need coaches too, right? It's not like I know everything and I don't have people that I ask and reach out to. I have a coach also, or I have coaches that I can ask for help. But hiring a coach, if you don't want to hire a coach, maybe your budget, whatever it is, find somebody that you can just like bounce ideas off of. You can ask me. Maybe I'm your coach, or I could be your coach. It doesn't mean you have to hire me as your coach, but maybe this podcast, this is your coach now. Listen to it, right? But follow a program that makes sense to you. You're not going to follow a semifinals or a games athlete program tailored to them if you're not a semifinals or a games athlete or anything close to that, because you're going to be prescribed these weights or these skills or this volume that you can't do, and you're not going to get better because you're suffering through one round of a 5-round workout with this weight that's like 99% of your max, or it's over your max, and you're just constantly trying this weight and you're failing it and you're failing it. That's not going to get you better, right? You need to follow a program that's tailored towards your goals and tailored for where you're at, right? Like if you can't do pegboards, why are you going to want to try to do a workout that has pegboards in them? Not going to help you. And that's for semifinals and games athletes. So don't sign up for that program. Don't follow that program. Or maybe there's a program like that, but there's a scaled version. Well, obviously you're going to follow the scaled version, right? So you find a program that makes sense to you, or maybe you write a program that makes sense to you, or you have a plan that makes sense to you and is tailored to where you're at. Also, following a program is important because it's definitely going to be something that makes you work on your weaknesses. You're not going to have a coach or a program that is like, all right, what do you're applying for this program, or they're trying to get to know you, so you're filling out this like questionnaire, and it's like, all right, what are the things like you're good at, you consider yourself good at, and you list double unders and handstand push-ups and box jumps and squat cleans. So they're like, all right, cool, I'm just going to write you workouts only with squat cleans, box jumps, handstand push-ups, and double unders. No, it's like, we're probably not going to touch those. Like, we're very often, maybe once a week here and there, but we're actually going to work on other things more often because you're not good at these other things. And that's the right way to do it. And it's so much easier to just have a program that tells you to do these things when they're your weaknesses than it is to write it yourself, if you know that generally you write stuff that's only fun or only things that you're good at. I catch myself. I'm guilty of this too. I'll walk into the gym if I'm like, oh, what do I want to do today? And I'll think about it, and I'll like start writing a workout, and it's like bar muscle ups, dumbbell snatch, burpee box jump overs, and handstand walks. Like all things I'm fairly good at, and like I'm confident in my ability. I'm like, well, fuck. This is only shit I'm good at. Maybe I should change this a little bit. And that doesn't happen all the time. Sometimes you still need to work on those things. Sometimes it's good to have a workout you're good at. Doesn't mean you just throw it away. But I should be like, oh, no, maybe I should change one of these movements to a weakness of mine. Or maybe I should make the dumbbell a little bit heavier. Or maybe the reps need to go up on the bar muscle ups, right? It needs to have some sort of aspect that it's not just like I smoke it every single time. It's like, well, did I get better from that? Maybe, but probably not, especially if that's all I'm doing. So I catch myself doing that too. So it's so much easier if I walk into the gym and I'm with Lindsay and I'm like, hey, Lindsay, write us a workout. And she writes a workout because she's going to write something that probably isn't a strength of mine. She's just going to write whatever. Maybe she's writing something that's a strength of hers, but a weakness of mine. Well, it's perfect. Like, because now it's a weakness of mine that I get to work on. So it's so much easier to follow a program when you're not the one writing it, because we all have biases. Even if you don't realize it, you're probably generally going to write something that's good for you because it's your strength and it's not going to hurt you as much. So follow a program that makes sense to you. Find a coach, find a mentor, whatever it is. And that's it. Those are my topics for the day. Recap: train with brain means smart training. You have a plan when you have a plan when you walk into the gym. There's a purpose, there's a focus, there's a strategy. Training through injuries. They happen to everybody. It's okay. Train through them if you can, but be smart about it. Burnout, it happens to everybody. It's okay. Notice if you are getting burnt out, you're not having fun anymore, you're not looking forward to going to the gym and training anymore, and take the steps necessary. Take a couple days off, dial the intensity back, take a week off, whatever it is, until you can say that you're looking forward to going to the gym again and having fun. And follow a program. And follow a program that makes sense to you. There is endless programs out there, right? You can bounce around from gym program to gym program, from top games athlete to top games athlete program. Actually, should have touched on this back with it, but really quick, you also need to stick with a program, right? Stop fucking changing programs every week. You do Mayhem programming, then you do HWPO, then you do Joe Blow programming, then you do Code Unlocked programming, week after week after week. None of this shit's going to help you because you didn't give it enough time for it to work. You need to stick with a program for a long enough time in order to get better. You bounce around from program to program to program to program, doesn't get you anywhere. Stick with the program, okay? And find a program and follow a program that makes sense to you. Hire a coach, find a friend, find a training partner, and all of your training and all of your wildest dreams will come true. That's all I have for you guys. Thanks so much for listening. As always, I appreciate you guys. We have a pretty cool community here at Code Unlocked. Share the show if you got any value from this, if it made you laugh, made you smile, made you think, whatever it is. And if you could leave me like a 5-star review, I would appreciate that. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see you on the next one. Peace.